Next piece that we are getting into is polynomials. We are going to be talking about what they are, different operations, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. Today, our focus is just on the definition, some vocab that goes along with it, and we'll do addition, subtraction with polynomials. So, when I'm talking about a polynomial, all that means is it's an expression with many terms.
Can I do something real quick? I want to do normal because
Sorry, I had somebody hole punch them for me because they not did a good job.
it kind of sucks.
Yeah, sorry about that. So some examples. It could be as simple as just a number that can count as a polynomial. It could be like a number multiplied with a variable. It can be things added, subtracted. Okay, those are all examples of polynomials. Technically, order doesn't matter, but if we say has to be in standard form, then there is a particular order we have to follow. So it's standard form, it is in decreasing alphabetical order. Okay, so if we were looking at a polynomial that has A's, B's, and C's in it, we put all the terms with A first, then the B's, and the C's. More often we're going to see the decreasing, so you want your powers to be falling. So if you have an x cubed, x squared, x, and a constant, we start with the highest power and we go down. So that's required if I say standard form, otherwise it doesn't matter, because when you add and subtract, does order matter? No. So they're equivalent, it's just a notation thing. Alright, so if I asked you, first thing we're just going to practice putting them in standard form. Let's look at number 2. We're not going to do all these. So standard form, we only have one variable here. So we start with that. What's our highest power? 64 is the biggest number, but when I'm talking about the power, I'm looking at the exponent. 3. So we put the term with that exponent first. So we have a 7k to the third. What would come next? And then it was plus a k to the second. And then we have minus k, and it's a minus because my k was subtracted, plus 64. The number, just a constant by itself without a variable, always goes last. So number 4, which one would go first? For these, just standard form. So it would, and since that one had a negative in front, we would say negative into the third. Then we would put plus in, and then finally plus 24. So we're just practicing writing these in our standard form. Alright, 16. This one does have 2 variables. Which one would we go with first? C. Alphabetical order. So my first term would be Alright, then what? Right, anything with a C we're going to put first. Then I've used all my C's, so now I would do my D. And then all that's left is the plus 13.
What happens to the D with the second?
It stayed right here. It was all one piece because it was multiplied with that one. So we kept them together. We can classify these polynomials, kind of give them special terms based on how many pieces are in them. Okay, so there's two different ways it can be classified. One is based off the degree, which is like your exponent, your highest exponent. And one is based off how many terms. And our terms are separated by addition and subtraction. So anything with a degree 0, so no variables, is called a constant. So if there's no variables, that's just a number. 2, 6, -8. Those are all just plain numbers, so those are considered constants. So if our degree is 0, no variables, it's a constant. If our degree is 1, so there's one variable, 2x, x minus 3, x plus 4. Those are linear. We've seen that before. Y equals mx plus b. You have an x to the first, it's a linear. It's a line when we graph it. When something has an x squared, anyone know what we call that? Let's keep it cute. X squareds are called quadratics. So this is just some terminology. Okay, if it's a degree of 3, so an x to the third, that's called a cubic. And a 4 is called a quartic. We're not going to see many of those. Usually you only talk about linear, quadratic, cubic, but you could have higher powers. Number of terms, that's like how many pieces are added together. So if it's just one term, it's called a monomial. 2 terms is binomial. 3 is trinomial. And then after that, if it has more than 3, we just say polynomial. It doesn't get a special term. We are going to practice a few of these, just having you classify things. This isn't going to be a big emphasis, but more so, if I say trinomial, I kind of want you guys to realize I'm talking about something with 3 terms. Or if I say a linear, you should realize it's x to the first. That's more of my goal here. But I just wanted to look at a few and kind of talk about what they would be. And so if we look at these examples. 6. Does it have any variables? So what do we call it? Constant. And how many terms is it? Just 1, so it's a monomial. Okay, -2x. It is linear because it has an x to the first power. But there's still no addition or subtraction. So I only have one term, so it's still a monomial. plus 1. How many terms? Terms are separated by addition and subtraction. So how many pieces do we have? 2, so it's a binomial. What's my highest power on my variable? There is no exponent, right? It's just a first, so it would be linear. So this is a linear binomial. This one. So, what's my highest power? 2. When my power is 2, we call it quadratic. How many terms are there? 3. So that is a trinomial. one, what's my highest power? 3. So 3 is a cubic. How many terms?
2.
So it is a last one. What is our highest exponent? 4, which means it is a quartic. How many terms? So 4 or more, we call it a polynomial. Any questions about what I mean by polynomial, counting up your degree or your terms? All right, last thing we're going to do today is talk about adding and subtracting. And you guys have actually been doing this some already. When we were dealing with exponent rules, we said we can only add or subtract if they are what? Like terms. So that's all we do here. We combine the like terms. Like terms are what? Right, the variables have the same exponent. Okay, and when we put them together, we know that exponent doesn't change. So if I look at these, and I want to combine like terms. If I want to put it in standard form, which power would have to come first? We have an x, we have an x squared, we have a number. The x squared. We always go with the highest power first. So we're just adding. So we look, here's a negative 1x squared and a positive 2x squared. So if you put those together, you get
1.
negative 1 plus 2 is just a 1x squared. You can write the 1 or you can leave it off, either way. Then we look at our x. I have an 11x and a negative 5x. And then we look at our numbers. 13, negative 23. Okay. And that is my final answer. Subtracting is almost the same, but here's what I suggest. You notice there's a parenthesis after the subtraction? What I want you to do is change it to addition and distribute that negative to everything. So it becomes a negative 7x, a negative 3x squared, and a negative 1. So we have to subtract every one of those terms off. Easiest if you just give them each the negative. And now we can add like the previous example. So we look, if you have 4x squared and negative 3x squared, what does that give me? It was a negative 3, so a 4 plus negative 3.
So 1.
All right, with our x, we have a 5x plus a negative 7x. And then what's left?
1.
Yep, so you can write a minus 1. Okay, we're going to do a few together, and then we're going to wrap up. So let's look at 14. So everybody with me? If I'm looking, I'm adding, so we need to combine the like terms. What is k squared plus k squared?
2k squared.
All right, what is negative 4k plus 9k? And 7 minus 3. I want you guys to do 16 and 18. Do you put the x's or the y's first? x, alphabetical. So 9x plus 3x is 12x. Negative 5y plus 3y plus 2y is negative 3y. And then a minus 7. Did you guys get that one? Alright, next one. What term do I want first? We have a 6a squared plus a 3a squared. Oh, sorry, that's a cube. So, you have to put the highest power first, which is just 3a to the third. Okay, then we have a 6a squared. Do we have any other a squared? Nope, so that just comes down. Okay, then my 8. I have negative 5a plus a minus 5a. So it's like negative 5 plus 1 minus 5. So negative 9a. How is number 20 different? Subtraction. So what I told you to do, if you get a subtraction, write it as plus and distribute the negative all the way through. So we change all those signs. So now we have 5r plus negative 9r. So 5 plus negative 9. Negative 2s plus 11s. One more? So what's the first step on 22? Yep. So it's a negative m squared and negative 2m and a positive 5. So now we combine. What's 3m squared plus negative m squared? 7m plus negative 2m. And negative 1 plus 5. Positive 4. All right, any questions for me?